Want to see something cool? That's the first time I've been able to do pull-ups since August, and I got hit by a car. Okay, not the first time, to be perfectly honest. I had to test a few times before I started recording myself.
What's up, fam? How's your week going? Mine's going okay. I'm currently sitting here doing this, a lot of work. That's kind of what my weeks are going to start looking like from here until the end of December. But you know what they say, you can't kill the game without getting some blood in your hands. I actually don't think anyone says that. I don't even say that. I don't know who says that. Anyways, so in all seriousness, I had a ton of work to do this week, and I'll have a ton of work to do until the end of the year. So I'm really just trying to focus on the things that make me stoked. And what makes me stoked, as you know, is training, playing music, seeing music, and racing. This week, I spent a lot of time training indoors because it was kind of nasty outside, and when I'm in crunch times at work, it makes me feel awesome to train. So, it is still raining pretty hard outside. Harder than I really care to ride in right now. I think I earned my hardman points yesterday at the race, so I'm gonna get on the trainer again. In here. Duh. It's gonna get sweaty. Saturday, I raced up in Vallejo. It was the closing race of the Bay Area Super Prestige. Got in the race, and it was the least ideal conditions you can imagine. All right, just pulled up, checked in registration. It looks like the rain let up for my race, which is cool, but I gotta say, there are not a lot of smiling faces right now. Not a lot of people who look very stoked about racing in these conditions.
Medication, signatures and stays, reinvented brand new lives, like they will never live. I never wanna run out.
Okay, I lied. It's 10 minutes before our race, and the rain definitely decided to show up.
Pouring rain. Last race of the day, so every clean line was ruined. For those of you that don't know cyclocross, it is all about maximizing efficiency. So what you want to do when you take a turn is find the straight point, right? The apex. You want to go wide and cut narrow so that you're not killing a bunch of time taking a protracted route. However, the perfect line for every single turn had been ridden so many times, and it was pouring rain that it was completely slick. You had to take the wide line to get around every time.
Never wanna run out.
I started off the race pretty far back. Like, I was probably in 10th place. By the grace of God, I managed to crawl up to about 2nd and 3rd place, and I was battling it out for 2nd and 3rd. And I think the real reason why I was able to do that was just because I think everybody else was broken. And it made me more stoked to be there. Like, I could totally feed off of the fact that everybody was really bummed. I mean, there was a run up that literally was like running up a slip and slide, like a vertical slip and slide. I fell more times running in this race than I did actually riding my bike. With half a lap to go, on my last lap, I took a spill and dropped my chain. Which pushed me back into about 6th place. It got me thinking about Lawrence Gonzalez's book, Deep Survival. In his book, he tries to identify the key factors that will help people to survive in dire situations, right? He goes through and does all this research on planes that have gone down in the Andes and only 7 people have come out alive. What was it about those 7 people that was so much different about the rest of the group? What was the psychology of survival like? And there were a few factors, and one of them was PMA. Bad brains and punk rock is all hell. Positive mental attitude gets you through things. So you have a choice, right, when you approach a situation like that, to figure out how you're gonna react to it. And for the most part, at work or in a bike race, you kind of see the mood of the people around you.
At least you don't have any fucking cassettes or derailleurs to clean out.
And you let that impact what you think about that situation. And you get so caught up in that group mentality that you don't allow yourself the agency to actually make a decision about how you're going to react. In this race, I had the opportunity to be super bummed out because the dudes I was racing with were kind of bummed out about it. Or I had the opportunity to say, hey, I'm gonna be really stoked. This is a really crazy challenge. I'm terrible at riding in the mud. Let's see what this is about. And I decided to get stoked about riding in the mud. And the second thing is group mentality. So in Lawrence Gonzalez's book, he talks about several instances where a group decided that they were going to stay together instead of separate in order to survive. And what that meant was they dedicated themselves to taking care of the weak people in order to keep the group together. Now those weak people technically could have like held them back, right? But groups that stay together are far stronger than the individuals within the group, right? Like every horror film you've ever seen, right? As soon as Susie Cream Cheese decides to see what that noise is in the attic and Lance Romance decides to like go find a fire extinguisher in the basement, that's when the bad stuff happens. In this race, like I decided to bond with the guys that had the positive mental attitude, and we decided to stick together up at the front and kind of encourage each other the whole time. Anyways, it reminds me a lot of this story that Sebastian Younger tells in Tribe, which I talked about a little bit last week. This story that he tells of a school teacher who has a young child in the class, right? And the child is trying to understand something about nature and about life and about society. And the point that he's trying to make is certain actions that we do have a very small impact on other people. Certain things like littering or not paying your taxes. These little things that nobody else has to know about. But what they do is they make you assume, or they put you in the mental space that you are somehow different from the rest of people in society. Like you are somehow exempt from the world around you. So back to this little story about this kid. The kid asks the teacher, if the spider can't feel its legs, what's the harm in me ripping them off? And the teacher responds, it's not the spider that I'm worried about. The point is the action of separating yourself from the group, of separating yourself from society, of separating yourself from the chain of living things, that you could do something so cruel to something else that is alive without having any consequences. The consequences to yourself are far greater than the consequences to the spider. Anyways, next week there will be no bike racing. I don't think. There definitely will be another vlog. Until next time, keep the rubber side down. Take care of yourselves.